Hello and welcome to my February Plan With Me video. I hope January has been treating you well and that the first month of the year has gone smoothly. For me, it's been a pretty incredible start to the beginning of the year. First off, I reached 10,000 YouTube subscribers, which is absolutely baffling to me because I am not a video person. In fact, 1 year ago, I was filming my February 2018 setup and I was filming it on the floor on a white piece of poster board in front of a window that offered some natural lighting. And I had no idea what I was doing, and I really still don't know what I'm doing. I just film and I pay attention to others who are doing similar things and that I find aesthetically pleasing and that I find that their videos are intriguing, and I try to do the same to create a video that you guys will enjoy, but that is also authentically me. So some of you guys already knew that I didn't really want to do a Valentine's theme for February, so I ran a poll and this magic theme won, and I'm pretty excited about it. I had done a magic theme in a previous weekly, which I have a video for, and I just loved the little doodles and some of the quotes that went along with it. Like this one says, "Be a seeker of everyday magic," and I love that because it's so true. So a year ago, I used watercolor in my February theme, and this year I thought, why not give it a try again? I recently purchased the Ecoline watercolors, the liquids, and I thought that I knew what I was doing. It turns out I don't know what I'm doing. So I started and tried to do a wet on wet, and that's probably not what you're supposed to do, especially not in a journal. And immediately, as soon as I laid down that very first spot of color, I knew that it was going to bleed through the backside. I could just tell, and I was like, oh no, I've already drawn out my calendar. I'm gonna have to figure out how to fix this because it's going to be bad, but I can't. There's like that point of no return, and I was already there. So if you guys know any good YouTubers, or if you're taking classes on Skillshare or somewhere else on watercolor that you feel are good for somebody who has some creative skills but doesn't really know much about watercolor, you should let me know in the comments because I would really love to learn some nice watercolor techniques. I love the way this dried. The biggest problem was that it terribly bled through to the other side and ruined my calendar, which I will show you how I fix in this video. So I'm using these colors, and one of them comes from like a more neutral line of colors, and then the light purple and the green both come from the pastel sets, and I bought them individually on Amazon. I will link all the products that I'm using here in the description of the video. So I tried to cover up all the mistakes of where it bled through with this white Posca pen, and it just kind of made it worse. So again, I'm using something that I don't know how to use, and there you can see how bad it bled through, and it just didn't work. But I ended up just using my white Uniball Signo pen, and it made it pretty good. And after I was done filling in the color, I did decide to go back and add some black. I just didn't feel like there was enough contrast there, so I had to add some more, which is just so typically me. Half the time when I make these Plan With Me videos, I will get done and then I post the video and then I go back and I add more to it. And I know that's probably kind of weird, but yeah, that's just me. So again, I'm here trying to use my Posca pen, and it's just soaking up the black ink and pushing it through to the back side of the page. So then I just went and used my Uniball Signo because it's trusty. So how I fixed my calendar page here, if you ever have this happen, if you use watercolor, if you use a marker that ends up bleeding through, and I know it stinks, I completely redo my spread on a piece of the same paper. So I just cut with a X-Acto knife a piece of paper out of the back of my journal. And actually that piece of paper came from another Nuna that I had. And then I glued it directly in there and then used the ruler to just kind of flatten it out and get all the air bubbles out. And voila, I pretty much have a brand new paper. It does kind of stick up a little bit, but it'll do, and it looks way better than the purple bleed through. So this is where we get into some of the more intricate little doodles that I do throughout this, and I get a lot of questions, and I think I've addressed this in a previous video, but I get a lot of questions regarding where I come up with my ideas. And so I want to give you guys like my exact formula for how I plan these. I am a huge Pinterest geek. I pin everything from outfits and workouts and doodles. On my Pinterest account. So I have a regular Pinterest account that I mainly use for the Petite Planner, which has all kinds of journaling stuff and self-improvement and time management skills. But I also have secret boards, so they are like specifically for me and nobody else can see them. And one of those boards I call future theme ideas. So then I will start searching Pinterest, and when I find an idea that I like, so for this one, like I found some magic stuff, and then I started searching like magic doodles, magic art, magic graphics. And then as I found things that inspired me and that I liked and that I might want to recreate, I will pin them to that future theme board that is secret so nobody else sees it. And it's not that I'm trying to hide it, it's just that it's kind of a random collage of different styles of art. Some of them aren't even art, they're just like images of something, or they are just color palettes. So if you struggle to come up with theme ideas, or if you're looking for inspiration, I'm a huge fan of Pinterest. Maybe it's just because I'm a mom, I don't know, but I use Pinterest constantly, and I use secret boards all the time for things that I want to remember in the future. So a lot of these are recreations of something that I saw on Pinterest, and I always try to make them my own, at least enough that they're not direct duplicates of somebody else's. Now, the ball at the bottom in the hand is pretty identical to the one that I found, and I will link that image in the description because I'm not trying to copy anybody's work without giving them credit where credit is due. So for this month, I did this more vertical calendar spacing wise. I almost do everything in centimeters in my Nuna. It just makes more sense to me than counting all the very little dots. So I think they were 2 centimeters wide and then 3 centimeters long. And this gives me enough room to write in little events. So in January, I use this calendar as like a planner for all of my content, so my blog content and YouTube content, and that way I can kind of see how well I'm getting along, and if I'm getting in, 2 blog posts a week or 2 videos a week, or if I've slowed down or sped up. And I really enjoy having this calendar spread. I've tried other spreads in the past. I've tried the horizontal bars where you write in your events and notes above and below. I've tried just the side vertical bar, which is great when you just want to create something very quickly and you need just a smaller amount of room to write in maybe a single event. But for me, the calendar works the best. And once you kind of find the right size for your journal, they are fairly easy to create. So the colors that I'm using this month are shades of like purple, green, and yellow. So the lighter purple shade is from Crayola SuperTips. I love them, and anytime somebody comes to me who wants to get into bullet journaling and wants to do some more creative stuff and add some color, they're always like, I really want to own Tombos, but I just can't justify spending $20 on a small pack of markers, which I totally get. I'm the same way, and it's taken me 2 years to build up the collection I have, and I probably have maybe 50. So I understand. So I always tell people to get the Crayola Super Tips in the 50 pack. It has a ton of colors. You can use them for brush lettering. I use them for brush lettering in this video. You can use them for coloring, you can use them for highlighting. They are wonderful to have, and they are like the one marker that I've found that like doesn't bleed through. It doesn't bleed through any paper that I use, at least in notebook wise. I've used the Leuchtturm. I've put a ton of notebooks to the test and they never bleed through. Where Tombos, depending on how dark and deep the color is and if the ink is a little bit more flowy, they can bleed through. So anyways, the lighter purple is from Crayola. The darker purple and the green are both from Tombow, and then the yellow is the Zebra Mild Liner. This is another one that I get a little nervous using, but it's my favorite shade of like a deeper yellow in all the markers that I own. So I just try to make it work. And I used it in my previous weekly spread that I have posted on YouTube, and it didn't bleed through my paper, so I was just really careful to try not to go over any spots too heavily. So if you've been watching my videos, you know that for the past couple months, I have stuck with a vertical tracker that has icons at the top that represent my habits. And I've only been doing 7, and it's worked really well. I've found that I am actually sticking to my habit tracker more. I'm tracking daily rather than trying to fill it in every 3 days. I can remember everything, and it's allowed me to really just hone in on my goals and what I'm trying to achieve. So this month I changed things up just to kind of go with the theme and just do something a little bit different because I was getting bored. And so I did these individual mini habit trackers, which I love. They can take a lot of time. So I did one that I felt was pretty easy and pretty quick. And so each of these little habit trackers represents a single habit, and then the dots represent the days. And for each day I'll fill in that dot if I completed the habit. So in total, I have 8 this month. They are workout, yoga, tracking my calories, work, so like work on my blog or YouTube, Instagram, intimacy, personal development, and then my last one that is new this month is supplements. I went vegan at the beginning of January, and part of that includes that you have to take some additional supplements, especially B12. It's only found in animal products for the most part that they know of. So as a newbie, I guess, and somebody who's just trying to play it safe and make sure that my health is in check, I am taking vitamin B12, and I had to stop using my collagen since it's not vegan. So now I'm also taking a biotin supplement. So I just made a tracker to make sure that I'm taking those daily because I've never been very good at taking vitamins or pills on a regular basis. The other thing I changed up this month that I'm sure you guys have noticed is I did a couple different camera angles. I've watched a lot of videos of other bullet journalists who do this, and it's very nice to see, and it kind of breaks it up so it's not so monotonous. So I have that switching back from like a angled position to a directly overhead position. If you guys like this, please let me know in the comments. It's not any harder, but I'm just, kind of playing around with it for right now. So if you like it and you like that change in camera angle, let me know in the comments. So at the very end of this page, as always, I have my goals section. Now, this didn't leave me a lot of room for like weekly check-ins, but I may just include those in my weekly spreads for the month of February to have a check-in at the end, which I did in a previous weekly spread recently where I just tracked like my happiness for the week. What were the happy moments of my week? What were my wins and what were things that I needed to work on? And this kind of just gives me time at the end of the week, usually on Sunday, to sit and just reflect and say, this worked really well, or this didn't work, or this really stressed me out. And then I can write it down and then I can make adjustments for the upcoming week. And it has definitely helped me just be more mindful of my stress level and how much I'm putting on my own plate, and my health and all kinds of things. So I really do like to do a weekly reflection. The next big change, if you've been watching my videos for months and months, I've had the exact same stats page, which I'm sure you're just like, okay, we know. So this month I did change it up a bit, and I decided to track a few less things because I added health trackers semi-annually or biannually, I guess, to my journal for this year. There were just certain things that I didn't really need in my stats tracker and that I found that were just becoming things that I wasn't really needing. So for this tracker, I am just doing a line graph where I will draw lines and then they will be color coded. So for this month, I am tracking my sleep, my productivity, my health, and my mood. And those will all be on a scale of 1 to 10, and sleep just 1 to 10 hours. And I'm back to tracking sleep. I didn't last month because for forever, I've lived on like 5 hours of sleep, and suddenly now I find myself sleeping until 8:30 and I can't wake up to my alarm, and I'm not really sure what's going on. I started sleeping like 5 hours a night back when I was a bartender, because I would get off work at 3 o'clock in the morning after cleaning the bar, and then I would come home, and then I would wake up with my kids at 7:30 in the morning, and that's just what life was. So um, it never bothered me, and so I just kind of stuck with it, and I always took mornings as like my quiet time and time for me to get up and drink my coffee and draw or whatever. So this month I'm gonna try to track my sleep and just kind of see if I can analyze it to see what's going on. That's one of the biggest reasons I like using my journal, and what has kept me using the bullet journal system is that I can look back at things and analyze them and then be like, oh, that makes perfect sense as to why whatever was happening was happening. So I just drew this very simple bar graph, and I do like to break up the lines with some color, which is what I did there. And then I'm using the colors that I'm using for my theme to represent each of those bars. And I think what I'll do is probably just use that marker to draw lines, and then I'll just put a dot above the day representing whatever my rating was. So, because I had extra space and because I am a firm believer that daily gratitude just makes you an overall better person, and I labeled this page the best me, I thought that I would just add my gratitude log here at the bottom. I like doing these shorter gratitude logs where I just write very simply about what I'm grateful for. Sometimes that means that I'm grateful for the internet. Sometimes it means I'm grateful for bath, or my husband giving the kids a bath. These are just short little sentences where I don't write a whole bunch about what I'm grateful for. And I find when I do it that way that it just comes to me more naturally, and it doesn't feel as forced as trying to put down a whole paragraph. So my last page, because I have gratitude on the same page as my statistics page, is my February memories. I love having a memories page. The problem for me has always been that I get busy at the end of the month with making this video and making printables and paying bills and doing all these last end of the month things that I didn't get done earlier. And I just don't have time to sit down and create a memories page. So I figured that it was a good idea to just make one from the start, and then I'll fill it in as the month goes on. And I went with these fun science-y vials, and all the big ones. I'm not quite sure how I'll fill it in yet. I think I'm going to use a mix of hand lettering and small doodles to kind of fill them in with memories that happen throughout the month. And then I just added some decorative doodles to fill in some of the gaps. So I have about 6 larger bottles in total, and then I have a smaller round one that I'm sure that I can find something to write in there. So that kind of wraps up my February spread and what went into it. I hope you guys like this theme. If it's the one you voted on, awesome. If not, definitely know that I'm still considering doing Under the Sea and Coffee Shop in the future. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, and I will see you guys again soon.